Muy bien. Okay. Bienvenidos. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this trio of incredible breakthrough. We have a program today on Breakdown Breakthrough, examining the underground bases around North America, maybe happening elsewhere. We have a lot of data coming in. And we also have a lot of data, perhaps controversial. I mean, the underground bases are pretty controversial, but once you get into the other MedBed issue, there's a lot of controversy there as to what constitutes a MedBed versus a remote genius healing, for example. So I am going to just wondering, Patty, how do you think we should proceed in this multifarious breakthrough panel that we've assembled here? And Gail, I'm sure you have some thoughts as to how we should proceed. I have a lot of data I'd like to bring to the table on both of these subjects. So over to you guys.
And I just scribbled. You know, you brought up the subject, which is about as heavy as it gets when it comes to what we're cleaning up right now, what we're living through, that most of the public has no idea. And this is going to be the groundbreaker, the ball buster. This is going to be the volcano if it gets out. It's the worst thing that I've ever heard could possibly be happening to children. And we know so many layers of so-and-so went missing. Oh, this is a mystery. But all of it now makes more sense as we've gone through this horrific 2 years of, hey, everybody, look over there and be scared of a bug. When meanwhile, and again, this is just my opinion, behind the scenes, there's flames coming out of storm drains in Washington, D.C., as we're hearing stories about underground bases being blown up that were full of hideous experiences that children were being put through, many of them never even seeing the light of day. What I've learned in my last 15 years of writing 8 films and experiencing crop circles is that I'm really good at telling the truth about what I see, but I've never been in these bases. And so I'm kind of stretching it because I haven't had the experience, thank God. I don't think I could live through it. And the videos that I've watched of Tim Ballard and his team, such heroes, these Marines and all kinds of military that are going in with underground night vision goggles. And again, if it's true, I haven't been down there, but if this is true, it's going to be the worst story never told in history. And when it gets out, those people won't be able to walk the streets. And we're talking if it's true. I keep having to say, if it's true, most of Hollywood, our dear boy, Tom Hanks, is it true? You know, I mean, all of it, Oprah, the Obamas, the Bushes, the Clintons, is it true? Bill Clinton leaning back in the blue dress with the red shoes. The red shoes have a whole new meaning.
Oh my God.
It's like everything I look at now has a whole new meaning. And all of this, everybody wanting to point conspiracy may actually be true. And it may be why they've been focusing all of humanity that maybe they care about deeply to be scared of some bug. And many people, unfortunately, are going to pass away because it is deadly if treated incorrectly, which is what a lot of hospitals have been doing for money, for politicians, for George Soros, for all these layers of darkness. In my opinion, for the last 20 years, I've watched this grow from a seed. And Patricia Cota-Robles, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, said, everything is coming to the surface to be healed. And as long as I hold that to be true in my heart every day, then everything we learn, everything we see Hillary's going to run for president. No, I don't think she's going to be running very far with chains around her ankles. But that's just me. I don't think there's a chance that these people are going to continue getting away with a history of crimes against humanity. And everything is coming to the surface now to be healed. These underground bases are about the darkest, dirtiest thing on earth. So when I watched this incredible gene decode link that Alfred was kind enough to send me and Gail, and he said, take a look, let's talk about it on the next show. And Gail's new to doing shows with Alfred, and I have been working together for, I don't know, 15 years probably. We used to do shows on crop circles. And
wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Alfred and I have known each other since the start. But we've also watched from so many stages that we've both spoken on with all these big name speakers talking about 2012 and, the Great Reset and all these things. And holy crap, Agenda 21, holy crap, Event 201, holy crap, all these things that were conspiracy are not.
Exactly.
What the hell? So here we are. People know it. If I know this much and you guys know this much, the real military has to know a heck of a lot more. That's all I'm saying. And I think we've got the pantomime military with, Mr. Milley and his friend, whoever the other guy is, and they don't give a flying care. And Afghanistan was the sloppiest thing on earth. But I think we also have a real military working behind the scenes, making a huge difference that we're going to find out someday soon. And for me, I've got a brain full of Jubilee. And I don't think it's hopium. I think it's going to be a reality soon. And if not, if I'm wrong, well, at least I'm going to smile till the day they knock on my door and, whatever. I don't think that's going to happen. That's me knocking.
I don't think it's going to happen either, Patty, and I'm right there with you. I watched the gene decode video, and it's very disturbing to realize how massive, I mean, absolutely massive, all these underground bases are, what they were set up for, and what would have happened had the election of 2016 not gone in the direction that it did. We would probably not even be here, is my guess. I'm sure I would have had one of those red dots in my mailbox. And if you if the audience doesn't know what I'm talking about, back then they had determined whether you were a workable slave or you were a rebel, and would not participate willingly in their slave program, which is something that they're pushing forward right now in a transhumanism form through their program, shall we say. And it's horrific. And when the only thing, the saving grace of all of this that I see in that 30-minute video about all the underground bases all over the place and the satanic rituals and the horrible satanic sexual abuse of children, that I can remember when you couldn't even talk about this to somebody that thought you were nuts. You're out to lunch. Oh, that don't happen. Oh, that's not true. Oh, that might be one little thing here or there. And it's massive. And people would never stop and think about, where did 800,000 children go every year in America alone? And millions across the planet. Well, now we know. Now we know. And I couldn't be happier that they're either flooding these things or blowing them up or both, because that should not exist. It never should have existed. It was brought into play with some very malevolent beings that are the controllers of the planet, who I hope, and I have read and I have heard, are leaving through portals in Antarctica as we speak. And I do hope that's true, just like you do, Patty. I mean, and Alfred, this has got to stop. It's got to stop. The worst thing that I see going on right now is the vast masses are not properly informed. They keep getting fed lies by the mass media, and the people that are in positions that could come forward and say something are still remaining silent about it. That disturbs me.
Right. I just wanted to jump in here and
Please.
and make a make a point about the underground bases and the evidence that we have in hand now that we can prove, and that is through the radiation. Because in BC, where I live, we have been having radiation attacks, leaks at Chernobyl levels here. And so through clan mother nurse Karen McDonald, who's a radiation expert, with her Geiger counters, we've been doing a series of programs where we showed that the BC radiation levels were at Chernobyl levels and resulted from the release from the underground bases, and that the water tables were affected. And based on that, we went and notified the International Nuclear Agency, the International Atomic Energy Agency, all of their offices worldwide. Of course, there was no response because they're part of the international criminal networks. But I'm just going to put this, a note about this in the chat, just to make it a matter of public record, and also put the links to that in the chat, because the radiation levels there were measured in a systematic way, and we had people rescued there. We had people who we documented severely burned people from radiation. We demonstrated that the so-called first responders had been trained to make the situation of people who called in to be rescued worse, because when they called in for help, they were given a psychiatric nurse that showed up to take them to psychiatric facilities. That is what occurred. And so all of this we documented. And as a result of this, what has occurred is that a common law tribunal has been formed in that area of the people in that area that will be going forward. And we now have documented evidence that the city councils in that area were building underground facilities for favored people with supplies and food, because food and supplies were supposed to go scarce, and that the favored people, they were using public funds and city councils to build underground facilities for the favored people, and we have that documented. And also, and so the underground facilities were all being blown up, and that's where the radiation came from. And this is now has now cascaded nationwide, continent-wide in North America. And we are pursuing this, and our own natural and common law tribunal is now entering its second phase and will be active and in a session starting in 2022. And just today, there was announced that Harvard professor had been cooperating with China, that they were Chinese nationals, and that he had developed all of the technology for China, where they developed the spike protein as a remote antenna, so that the spike protein is actually a remote electronic antenna that you inject in through the vaccination. You inject the spike protein into a person, and then that person becomes a carrier of this remote antenna, and then they activate the remote antenna, and that remote antenna then goes out and infects others. And it's a bioweapon. And the Harvard professor developed it with U.S. government money, jointly with the Wuhan lab, and then it was weaponized with the Chinese government, jointly with the U.S. government. This is the joint world deep state. Well, our tribunal, this came out today, and our tribunal a year ago, on November 15, 2020, in a 108-page indictment, had indicted all of the people that were named today. On December 22nd, 2021, we had indicted them in November of 2020. We had already done that. So it shows that we, the people united, are always a step of the head, a step ahead of the dark forces, and a step on the head of the dark forces.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So I know I'm a bit on a soapbox here, but
So what does indicted mean as far as it actually manifesting on Earth here for all the people to see?
Or for some type of enforcement that it will actually result
we're just
in
getting
being
started.
arrested or jailed or executed.
Okay.
Or all of the above.
This guy got arrested today, and we indicted him like a year ago.
Are you talking about Collins? I think his name is. Was it Collins?
No,
from the
Charles,
NIH?
No, Charles Webre.
Oh, Charles Webre. Okay.
Yeah. Harvard professor, Dr. Charles.
Oh, him.
Webre.
Yeah. Okay.
And I wrote,
okay.
Public Justice is now following the lead of the National and Common Law Tribunal. The 108-page tribunal indictment issued November 15, 2020, indicted, among others, Anthony Stephen Fauci, Bioweapons Laboratory, Dr. Charles Webre, blah, blah, blah. We did all of this a year ago, and now the world is catching up to us. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, it's amazing they've gotten this far sometimes. It seems like it takes a really long time for things that should come forward immediately that take years to come forward. And that's a real shame, because these things need to be dealt with. But it's now, like enough is enough.
Now in 2022, we're going to start our second round. So look out. And I think people are going to be on the run. And our first round, our first round went from 2020 to the end of 2021, and we're now clearing out the first level of garbage, and now in the second level of garbage, we're going forward. But it's the deep underground bases that are getting cleared out now, and so I think that we can rely that it's true that what is occurring based on the fact, and we have put the links in the chat. I mean, if you want, we can run the movies here at this time. We can do a share screen, but there's radiation at Chernobyl levels resulting from radiation release at the deep underground military bases. The water table is affected, and this was we had radiation eye witnesses. That's what we've been doing over the last 3 weeks with former Sergeant Patty Broussard, who is a former radiation expert for the U.S. Army, and Karen McDonald, and just moving forward. So I think that we have the evidence there, and that the underground bases are collapsing and are being collapsed. So.
By the way, it was Francis Collins, and he is the director of the NIH, and he was arrested. I think it was yesterday or today.
Yeah, I mean, now they're pushing this phony Omicron variant, right? And it's named after the Greek letters. Well, I took 3 years of classical Greek in secondary school and 8 years of Latin. You know, as back then we used to have a classical education. So you would grow up and, you know, hit other students on the hand with rulers or something. You know, it was a different world. But so the reason that they call it Omicron is that they had to skip a Greek letter. It's very embarrassing for them, because the Greek letter that they would come to, they would have had to call it the virus XI, XI, which is the same spelling as the Chinese president. And it was too much of a synchronicity.
Well, you know what's really interesting about that too?
Yeah, Alfred. I just love it, like when karma hits you right in the face, right?
You know, that's my new holiday greeting is have a karma Christmas. That's my wish for everyone.
I think
karma Christmas.
I'm trying to find something that I saw today that was put up by Judy Mikovits, and it is on Telegram, and it's you know, they've twisted those words around for that Omicron, you know, and said something else, but she took the letters and changed things around even more. And when you actually look that up, it talks about messenger RNA. I kid you not.
I saw that also. There's so much information out that if anybody's got their eyes open and they know how to Google or DuckDuckGo or anything, search, everything's here now.
Yeah. I mean, they're holding on by their fingernails, and when their grip looses, I mean, they're just going to be dragged through the streets. Do you remember the picture of Mussolini being hanged upside down? Okay.
I didn't see that picture. Okay. That's okay. I don't mind not seeing it.
Let's go to the last fascist attempt to take over the world, okay? They had Benvenuto Mussolini, you know, I'm going to pump myself up and be man of the world, right? Bringing fascism to Italy, right? Well, at the end of the world, at the end of the war, he tried to escape Italy, and they caught him trying to escape, so they hung him upside down. So you see, Mussolini, who at the beginning of the world, all these concentration camps and everything, and you see him at the end of dead and hanging upside down. So he's a poster boy for the whole scandemic crowd, all the perps, like every single perp on the planet. Mussolini is the poster boy.
Yes, and did you hear?
Say it loud and say it proud.
Take
Mussolini is the poster boy for all of you pandemic perps. Get it now.
Can you imagine?
Just like Dick Cheney escaped to New Zealand, or thinks he escaped?
Oh, yeah, Dick Cheney. Do you know that?
Yeah,
Dick Cheney,
the guy who likes to torture people? Yeah.
Dick Cheney was a classmate of mine at Yale.
Oh, my
and
God.
He flunked out sophomore year. He did.
Oh, my word.
He flunked out sophomore year. And I was a judge on the tribunal that found him guilty of genocide in Iraq.
He's guilty of all kinds of things.
And so he's rolling to New Zealand. Oh, what fun.
Wow.
What fun. Yeah, run, but you can't hide.
Exactly.
I think that the only way people are going to be affected is when it's in your backyard.
That's what it seems like.
When I was watching the Gene Decode, all of a sudden he said Boulder, Colorado. Now we all know about DIA and all the underground bases there, but Gene elaborated it was even bigger. And then he said Boulder, Colorado. And what was shocking was that he said it's one of the biggest mind control underground bases. And I testified to that I have met more than enough people that have no sense of feeling or emotion, like dead people. And then I met their family and I was like, what? Like dead people? And it's interesting because now I understand more that Boulder, which used to be this gorgeous in the 70s and 80s when I moved here and went to college, I was in a band, it was just great. And now you can't go to Boulder and not be grossed out. You carry an EMF, electromagnetic field. I mean, of course, who carries one? But I have one little monitor. All my friends that measure frequencies and electricity and radio frequencies, Boulder's just a blow-up zone. I think it's really been a mind control center. And, when you put together a bunch of rich kids whose parents spent a fortune to get them educated, and these schools, especially your school, Harvard, and they really train the kids to obey and be great servants. So when they're looking for slaves for the new camps, in their opinion, but they're not going to win, they were looking for kids that would obey, well-trained, that have skills. Well, I don't know how skilled a college graduate with a master's degree would be in things that you actually need to supply yourself with daily, food, water.
Day-to-day basis. Yes, that's so true.
I mean, they're educated in things like law and things that'll be useless when the truth is
legalities. Yeah. Marine.
So here I am, Gene Decode, and he says Boulder, Colorado, this huge mind control thing has been neutralized. Well, if I had a body that had brakes, my brakes went, so I immediately got on the horn with somebody I know now that's pretty high up and knows a lot of people. And I wrote a couple of emails, and I always hear back from them really quickly. I wrote the third one, and I'm like, oh my God, they're not telling me if Gene Decode is yes or no. And so I called them on the phone today. I just direct, and I said, listen, I don't want to be pushy, but I need to know because I live here. And I want to know, because I had to deal with a mind-controlled person who left uranium in my garage to kill me recently in the last couple of years. I got sicker than crap. Had a lot of procedures since then. I mean, I've paid no emotion, no guilt, no feeling. Family and their kids like zombies, I've never met people like that. And now hearing that we are sitting on the mind control, and somebody else had met him, a friend of mine, mutual friend years ago, and she goes, that guy is so MK Ultra. And I was shocked. And she said, I've been in the bases. I also went through an experience. And every night at the end of the day, we had a few days together. She said, MK, he's definitely. So it's interesting that here we are. And I thought neutralized, is it true? So my friends finally said on the phone, well, a little bit, but not fully neutralized. How far does it go? What does that mean? Will I see it? You know, but again, I've been to the FBI twice in Denver to report something awful. Both times their name was John. Both times. I bet if I went ever again, their name would be John. It's just like, and what did I know? I didn't know anything. Now I do. All those years I was touring with the big names, you know, in ufology. I thought it was all BS, but now it's like, oh my God, we are in it. So here I am remembering Alfred and I on a show one day, and I'm in my big room with all these windows, and all of a sudden the windows start to shake. And Alfred and I are on the air live. And I was like, oh God. And in my windows, I saw 3 huge double spinning military helicopters with the door open, fully geared, men and women with weapons and gear going down a neighborhood canyon in Boulder, Colorado. 1, 2, 3. And I was so blown away, I couldn't speak on the air. And I unplugged the computer through the cord and turned my computer around, hoping that the audience could see 3 helicopters, big, huge, military, going right through a canyon in Boulder, Colorado, where they shouldn't have been. Or we should have been warned it was an exercise. I mean, it was creepy. It was scary. And now, of course, I'm like, oh, wow. You know, we had quite a few of those Chinooks show up for a few weeks, and now they're gone. But I also went to a chiropractor who said, oh, you might find this interesting. Guy was so straight. He said, one of my clients was up on the hill with the satellite dishes and looked over hiking, and there was all these Humvees going in and out of a big cement hole and people in uniforms right here in North Boulder. So I call another friend. I mean, for me, I'm Patty documentarian. What is it? Where is it? And it turns out, again, if it's true, I don't know. I haven't been there and I don't know these things, but it appears that Boulder has 2 quantum computers underground. And I hope it's out loud. One is at supposedly NIST, the National Institute of Time in South Boulder. And apparently the one on Nelson Road with the big satellite dishes, what was down below there, my friend said, you know, it's posted if you know what to ask and look for, is another quantum computer in North Boulder. So, you know, it's like, oh gosh, you know, the facts make sense for me in my own backyard. And that's when I know, oh God, this is real.
Wow. Right. You know, it's funny too. Of course, when Sedona came up, I kind of went ding, 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 ding. And Boynton Canyon, I was told about that place when I first got here. I'm not kidding you. They said, don't go there. Don't ever, it's dark. It's of a reptile manner, Naga, or whatever we want to call it. But nonetheless, it's not someplace you want to go. And then here it's one of the ones that had a detainment camp and a place for rebellious type people. Had we had a different administration in, and thank God we didn't, because that just is unbelievable. Yeah. And
well, I'm also riffing off of the comments. Let me read some of them. Alfred, okay. I saw you with a big hair last time, long hair like a lion. Teresa, please do not get Jabberdo. United we stand. Please look up Event 201 and Agenda 2030. Leonard, love this show. Your spirits are inspiring. Valerie, you are too joyful. Lots of laughing. Movie in the making. Teresa, there are so many agendas going on right now. Angel, George. So our audience is like pumping. Now, I'd like to change to our second topic because we're into the second half hour here. And
boy, how time flies.
I know. And this is a bit sensitive, and I just want to approach it with the right sensitivity, because I'm not against healers, and a lot of people are healers, and some people are just, they want to market their stuff, so they go overboard, over marketing what might be not quite a med bed, and it really is a genius bar. It's not a med bed. And so one of the topics that we thought we would talk about today was a product that is being called the 9010 MedBed, and it's being marketed as a MedBed, where this is not quite a MedBed. And so we asked a colleague of ours who is an expert with the Genius, these which are remote technologies for healing, if she would evaluate the 9010 MedBed to see whether it's actually a MedBed or whether it's still within the SHIO or the Genius, etc. Because, you know, I think that that's only fair. And this is what she wrote. During a scan down to the cell nucleus level, the MedBed, this is the 9010 MedBed, determines exactly the frequencies as well as the amount of quantum energy you need for the best possible self-healing. Both is then teleported into your body. It is simulated, and this is deceptive. In other words, it's a simulation. It says that it is AI, artificial intelligence, like subconscious cell readers. So it really is like SEO, SEIO, and Genius. It's remoted in its distance. To me, this is quoting her. This is Clan Mother Karen McDonald again. To me, being in this field, it's deceptive. I thought it was deceptive advertising when I saw their 5-minute video, and not a real life pod or regenerative MedBed. Not any different from me doing a remote session saying, lie down and do a night and set up when some client is sleeping. In other words, she specializes in healing a client when they're sleeping using the Genius. And she has done that on me. She's changed, you know, because I get a lot of incoming from either directed energy weapons or radiation, or from spike proteins from a lot of vaccinated people. You follow what I'm saying? Cube are also out there for $5,000 to $20,000, as well as to stick like organite under a bed. Some, as Jared Rand, wants $60 million for his donation to simulate a regenerative MedBed replicator technology. I was watching all their talks via Patty Broussard. Some of these are similar, but can harvest souls transfers as well. In other words, this is getting into technology. I think somebody mentioned to you, Gail, that they thought that there was something satanic about the 9010, right?
Well, no, they said because the one little piece was in a box that sometimes a cube. It could be indicative as such. But I've also talked to 2 psychics and asked them to evaluate it, and they didn't have any problem with it.
Any problem with it? And I did a tarot, and I didn't get any problem with it. But I think that this analysis is deeper. And it says, and as well as their deceiving factums and fine prints, because I have found that Karen McDonald is a healer who actually gets results on directed energy attacks on me and on my aura and shifts my aura using a genius overnight. And I've seen those, and who actually shifts when I've had spike attacks from being too up close around vaccination attacks or radiation attacks. So I thought that was deceptive advertising to try to glom onto the name of MedBed when not being a genuine MedBed. And I think that we should be fairly strict around the name MedBed. That's my only point.
Well, I think to elaborate a little on the 5-minute video, because I watched it and sent it to you, somebody had sent it to me. I personally don't want anybody playing with my energy field ever again. And there's something known about the cube with satanic practice that, we have to be very, very mindful who's behind the technology, who's running it. But this particular thing, you're saying deceptive because they send you, I guess, the cage, the box, the cube, and you light it up and you send them photos of your bed and where you sleep. And then supposedly they create a holographic field of a med bed around you, or what would appear to be a med bed. So you're right. It's not literally a med bed that you're in because they're using your bed and saying that they're transforming it into a holographic healing field. So you state out loud, that you name the bed, and then supposedly it creates itself around you. And then you say, scan me. And it supposedly goes up and down. And I only say supposedly because as a documentarian who's learned to be really literal, if I can't see it, I can't prove it. And I think that's why maybe it could be deceptive. But deceptive also is people sending frequencies into your home could be very scary. Years ago, I was, learning about a situation that was that, and it seemed very scary.
Exactly.
Exactly. And how is that different than remote scalar energy healing? Isn't that the same thing?
As far as those technical terms of scalar, etc., I couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
Well, I know it's in the quantum field, that much I know, and I'm not saying I'm any expert on it either. But if remote healing is done with a device called a genius, I don't see how it's that much different.
Because as I understand it, we should invite Patty. We should invite Clan Mother Karen to explain the genius. Because I think it is that the difference is that the healing is done via a healer. And it's a healer and a machine acting together. That would be my thing. But that's just a guess. I don't know.
What did you say?
I want hands-on. I want somebody I can see. I want an energy field of a person healing me that I can trust. But that's me. I'm not ready for med beds or holograms. And I also want to point out, this is what I do. This is what Gail does. This is what Alfred does. And it's C60 Evo. This I can take on a spoon, and it's not a hologram. It's actually a mega antioxidant that's 172 times more powerful than vitamin C.
And D. And vitamin D.
We've never made that claim. If it's true, that's awesome.
I know. We were on a show with scientist Chris Burris.
Okay.
And I said, Chris, look, logically, if it's 172 times more powerful an antioxidant than vitamin C, then it's 172 times more powerful or in that neighborhood than vitamin D. And he said, well, that stands to reason. And what it means is that the buckyball is going through your blood, oxidating your blood, so that this is and vitamin D is supposed to be the best prophylaxis against the
bug,
against the cold that's going around.
Yeah.
And so this is civil defense. This is what I call civil defense, because you're getting civil defense against a deep state that is determined to depopulate.
One of the things I like the most about it is
I'm speaking as a war crimes judge here.
Mm-hmm.
I know you don't have to say anything, Patty.
Oh, no, I'm a listener. When you guys are talking, I'm all about,
Yeah.
I like hearing your perceptions because we come from 3 different places.
Yeah.
I had a very sweet friend here with her kids tonight. And I said, I got to go at 4:30. I got to get ready and look good and set up the room. And she's standing at the door and she looks at me and her little children are going down the stairs. And she says, what's your show about? And I said, I don't really want to talk about it. No, tell me. And I said, it's heavy. It's the ugliest thing I could probably ever talk about. And only because I'm really well read and really watching a lot do I even know. And she goes, well, what is it? And I said, it's deep underground bases, deep military underground bases where, and then immediately I said, are being cleaned up, are being broken down, burned out. Children are being rescued. I would never say that to her. But I just basically see everything as in process of coming to the surface to be healed, which I keep repeating those words because it's how I get through with faith. And faith is the most important thing right now. Love is the most important thing right now. Those are 2 things that the deep state hates, is smiling, is authentically smiling. And the reason I went from MedBeds to C60 is because I want things I can put my hand on and do to make a difference in my life, in my world. And I'm one of the owners of the company. You guys are both influencers that, help get your people to know about this. But as we move into the new paradigm, the Great Awakening, people are going to need remedies that you can take on a spoon or that you can rub on your skin. The MedBeds, they're going to be really expensive. And do they work? I don't know.
Here's the thing.
I was offered an opportunity, but I don't want to be in the first group. I want to see it work for a lot of people. I want them to work out the kinks, and then I'm going to be super grateful to be invited then.
Yeah, I've got Crush there in the chat, who's putting a lot of disinformation about C60 because he says Tony Pantelleresco has some really good information on C60 truths that people. Well, we had Tony Pantelleresco on 2 panels, and he was saying this stuff about nano and C60, which is totally false. And then Crush says C60 is known for a negative buckyball effect that can mess with your spine base and kundalini. That is the false disinformation that C60 is a nanoparticle, which it is not. It is just a molecule. And I confronted Tony Pantelleresco a couple of times. We can play. Should we play that scientist now? Take 10 minutes to play that.
Robert Wong?
Yeah.
Not on this show, but people
Okay.
can go to the C60 Evo YouTube channel.
Yeah.
If we had to directly address these concerns. The other one, you forgot, whoever the paranoid person is that's posting, And, you know, we don't want to be rude, but we're probably going to have to delete those because it's misinformation. I respect that everybody has a perception and a belief. Tony was kind of one of those people that was highly misinforming because he doesn't work in a lab. He doesn't know the science like the guys that have been making it for 30 years that are real scientists. I'm not judging Tony. I've never met him. If he has a lab, then I apologize. If he's an expert and super brilliant, but I think the videos I saw were not convincing, and I did peek. And then there was the guy Gavin that was, you know, always in his beach outfit, and he was, you know, again, I think another deep state. And I shouldn't say that they're both because I don't know, but I do know that I'm working with Chris Burris and Robert Wong, who have been making C60 and invented the reactor that produces C60, and they did it 30 years ago. So here we are, partners. We've got a lab in Texas. We're totally patriot group, and we make the product there. We don't get Wuhan, China C60. We have explained on our YouTube channel C60 EVO, the graphene oxide has nothing to do with our C60, that there's no opportunity for bots or for tracking with our C60. Now, I can't say anything about other companies because we are realizing that there's a lot of fraud in the C60 industry because people think they can just buy some powder and make a lot of money. But if we tested in our lab, which we did recently test 22 online C60 products, both the lab technicians use the term woefully low. Every product that we tested, there wasn't anything close to ours as far as C60 concentration in the bottle, in the product. And some of them, I think the worst one, which we tested again last week, because somebody really big name was promoting it. And I'm like, isn't that the one that they say has C60 and they call it super concentrate? It had a speck, a trace. So we tested it again, and the label says 0.8, they brag, 0.8 milligrams per milliliter, and literally it tested out at 0.0006.
Oh
This
my
is a
God.
huge misinforming company. And he doesn't mean to, but maybe he does. I don't know. And he sells a lot, but he doesn't know. And so it's not like I want to be rude, or I'd never say names because I don't want to, you know, be disrespectful, but we don't want the industry destroyed. And most of the companies out there are selling 10% to 30% of what the label says as far as the concentration. Why would you tamper when you don't know if it's from Wuhan? The reason I partnered with the two guys that own the lab is so we could bring a product that's actually guaranteed to be safe for human consumption. It's ESS60, really clean C60, and the company is C60evo.com. You'll see a link below the show. Alfred has a code, Gail has a code, and whoever you followed us here to see, please use their code. You'll get a discount. They'll get a commission. But this is how we work. We're all kind of in it together. And a lot of people say, oh my God, C60 is so expensive. If you knew the process of making good C60, you'd realize it's a bargain. But there's on our website and with their discount, there's a lot of ways to save money. But for me, I want something I can put my hands on. And if it's true that they're really creating adrenochrome in the way that I don't want to describe, in my opinion, there's nothing worse on earth that a human could do. And if God wins, and if where we go one, we go all is true, thank you. How many years ago, Kennedy on his bell? And how many years later, we're seeing the manifestation maybe of all of that being brought to the surface to be healed without having everybody get shot in the head. Not that I'm laughing at all. It was horrific. But I think the underground bases is the biggest story never told. And if it's true that while we were all locked up, being scared and getting used to not going to restaurants and not going to clubs and not going to all these different things, and then seeing Central Park in New York have these huge tents, and seeing the military bringing up children in blankets into those tents, is it true? Was it true? God, wouldn't it be incredible if it was? And if thousands, hundreds of thousands of children have been relieved and saved. And if all those demons from hell have been sent back home, then my Christmas wish will come true. My Christmas wish is I want to wish everybody a karma Christmas.
I want everybody for Christmas to have freedom. Real freedom. Sovereign beings, no longer slaves. That's my wish.
What's your wish, Alfred, for Christmas?
Christ consciousness for the planet.
That works. That would be freedom too.
Well, you know, I think that it's possible that this entire Biden drama, trauma, Kamala, Afghanistan, Schumer, Pelosi, I mean, this whole circus of the worst people we could ever watch, making a thing like Rachel Levine, the head of health for America, to make the rest of the world laugh at us. I mean, they couldn't have picked a worse person. You know, I'm fine with they being
Whatever.
anything else, but the head of health and psychiatric health and physical health, it was such a manipulation. And to have somebody like Fauci still today yelling in court, it's not gain of function, even in this week in the Senate being interviewed by Rand Paul. I am watching this like a great drama. I've never seen a story this outrageous. But again, I sure hope that what we're watching is the good guys winning quietly.
Well, I got to say something about Rand Paul, because I really agree with Dr. David Martin that he is guilty of political theater, because as soon as he gets done ranting and raving with Dr. Fauci, then he does a donation campaign, which is all well and wonderful, but he has the documents necessary that would allow him to arrest him, to call people forward right there on the spot and walk him away in handcuffs, and he hasn't done it yet.
Look
So
how
I
much
find that a little
awareness that he
disturbing.
brought, though, compared to everybody else sitting there in the Congress or the other people.
Well, I'll give him credit for that. I hear you on that.
It's huge, though. I mean, he just was on the stand with Hillary this week also, or in the last 2 weeks. I mean, shredding her. And maybe he hasn't brought charges and done the final punchline, but the exposure of details and facts and crimes that he's saying in front of the American public. If I'm seeing this much on YouTube, the military, the real military, not the circus TV military like Miley and the boys. I mean, they're dehumanizing every group of powerful men and putting them all on scooters with a tutu. I am so fed up with this. I miss men. And I think most women miss men.
Thank you. I agree.
Alfred, you don't even leave your home, though. You're so smart. You just stay in your safe place. Are you still staying home most of the time?
I have not left my property since, I think since March of 2020.
Stop it.
No.
How big
Do you order all your goods and groceries and so on out, or do you?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Oh,
but
okay.
I am who am.
That's amazing. And it's why you're still well.
No, I mean, our next program is going to be on my novel, right? And on my chronography book, which are now online on pre-order. We won't get into it, but on this program. But I'm here on a different agenda, baby.
I think we're all here on a very positive, proactive agenda. And it's no mistake that any of us are here at this time, because this is the Great Awakening. This is the 2012 we've been waiting for. It's the everything I think we've been waiting for and more. I think it's going to be so much fun on the other side of the truth explosion, as long as we all live through it, which we will, because we take this stuff. But I have just the greatest belief that we are living through history like no one has ever seen. Okay, what did Valerie say? Even if we know that we win in the end, we are the matter that have the power to create that world we see. We all see differently, but that share peace, love, respect, emotions. The same core base. It is about working together, and it is about giving them exactly what they don't want, karma. When we smile, when we love, when we're happy, when we're joyous, we win. Yeah. And all of a sudden now, every day, man, when I wake up and I see the sun come over where I live, it is so glorious. And living through the stuff I've lived through, as I look back, the three of us are older than a lot of the audience, maybe. Alfred wins. But I look back now and I think, my God, I've had fun. I had so much fun traveling and getting on trains around Europe, which you can't do today. Riding my Harley all over the country, which you can't really do today. I mean, everything is so different now, but we have to find our new happy in the different, because the more happy we bring, the more happy we're going to bring into the new awakening. And also the more happy we're going to bring into every day. If I was in fear, I would hate my life now. If I was in fear, I'd have so many reasons, but I don't want any of them. I'm seeing a jubilee. I'm seeing the arrest, the executions, and people just dropping their jaw like we did the first day we learned about these horrific underground bases. Alfred, you might have known forever because you've been a judge and a lawyer for decades. For me, I didn't believe any of it, but now I do. And I think that day when you and I were on the air and those huge helicopters went by and I caught it on the air, it was so remarkable, but it was, again, one more piece that brings us together. I think that our karma is that we attract information. I am an info whore. I cannot get enough. I wake up in the middle of the night and I accept it now that I am old school. My body is used to 4 hours, boom, I go down hard. And then I'm up in the middle of the night and I try and get back to sleep. And then I go, okay. And I get up and I make my go back to sleep tea, but I turn on my news again. And I want to watch, but it has to be relatively good news. I just want to see the evolution. And what's really weird is Tucker Carlson did a show last night. Love him or hate him, I don't care. But he drops a lot of information like Rand Paul does. And for me, it's about facts. You give me facts, you show me evidence, I'm interested and I want to hear what you have to say. So he went down this list of all the cities that are really going through heavy, I don't think he said mind control, but he said really chronic political hell. And he went New York, San Francisco, Boulder, Colorado. I was like, what? Tucker Carlson named us last night, Boulder, Colorado. And I was like, give me specifics, like what? And this morning I had to finish the video, so I lit it back up. And I was watching it. It was just potent. I can't believe how much information he dropped. It was like huge. And then somebody knocked at the door, FedEx, and I came back, sat down, and I turned it back on, and it was deleted from YouTube. And I picked the title, and I went searching. Tucker Carlson News 2020, 12/21/21. Everybody should go find it. Unfrickin' believable show. 12/21/21. Tucker Carlson full, Full news. It's got to be on Rumble or BitChute, which reminds me, see if Facebook, I used to give them $900 a month to promote C60 Evo. They keep putting me in jail and all my friends in jail. And it's like, who needs them anymore when there's so many other sites? So I'm taking my movies, I'm uploading them. YouTube, they're still working with the demons and letting them
Yeah, they are.
copyright claims when you wrote the material. It's like, it's friends, and who needs them?
They give you copyright claims if you use music from a free music library too. I think they target certain people because I know somebody that has a shorter or smaller following or subscribers, and mine not that big anyway. But they're trying to give me a copyright strike all the time from a free library music thing on the beginning of the show. So it's insane. But anyway, that's
so
a
to
small
take our power back, we leave them. We don't put our energy there. If this is how they want to behave, let them, but not with me. See ya, suckers. I've had it. How many of us have been in Facebook jail? It's like not even anymore. It's like, oh, well, that's how you know it's true.
6 months or more time.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
There's too many options, and it's up to us, each person. So Del Bigtree came to Boulder, Colorado. You know Del Bigtree?
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course.
Okay. So he's from Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah. Oh, that I didn't know.
He opens the show at his parents' church, Unity Church in Boulder, Colorado. And he starts by saying, I was born and raised in Boulder, Colorado. What happened to you guys?
I know, that's what, when you said that, I was shocked. Boulder? Really? Yeah. Boulder?
Yeah.
Because I've lived in Denver, so when that just didn't sound like Boulder to me. But hey, that was back in the 80s,
Boulder's lost its grace. We're very CIA. We're very Google, Twitter. It's awful what happened to Boulder.
Sedona's lost a lot too. A lot of their healers, a lot of their light workers, because there's a lot have left. Yeah, probably same thing.
Well, the fact that Tucker was on a roll last night, he named Boulder, makes me really want to know more. And when I called somebody and I said, has it been neutralized? He said, not fully. And so, we've got a lot of work to do, but not fully means yes, partially. So when you know that things are happening, that things are getting done, I know that the more we put our energy into being positive and really holding our faith, we're helping the frequency of the entire planet rise up just a little bit more. And I do it every day. I do it every night. And in the last few weeks, I've really brought my personal power back. And so in the middle of the night, I also am in my living room sometimes going, wah, yeah, you know what I'm doing? Things that I haven't done in a long time. In the morning, my meditation's out back. I'm watching the sky. I'm seeing what I used to see. So it's like, God, I almost forgot about my magic. So if I can say anything else for Christmas, I wish everybody to find their magic again. That's what I wish.
Indeed.
People are stepping up.
Well, shall we say tonight? We've gone a little over an hour, and I think that Alfred's posted some really important links. Gail and I have offered perceptions because I've never been there, but I watch and read. I run my pendulum a lot. Is it true? Is it true? And I just hope that every day there's more children rescued. There's more people being no longer free to do really bad things to children and us.
Yeah, our planet is on a positive timeline, and it's in a good trajectory.
There are a lot that are saying too that we're going to transition very shortly up a dimension and then get some training and then go up even further. So it's all looks very positive. Very positive.
So do you want to very positive. Do you want to close with a link and a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, each of us?
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. My website for my C60 company is c60evo.com, c60evolutionevo.com. And if you are interested in crop circles and David Martin, Sasha Stone, those guys are in my films, which is cropcirclefilms.com.
Awesome. And my website is www.gailofgaia.com. I think you have to do the http://www.gailofgaia.com. I'm getting tongue tied. And I'm on all the different platforms. You can find me under Gail of Gaia. I just use that as a handle name, and I'm easy to find. And I'm on anywhere from BitChute, YouTube, free YouTube, of course, but that's getting limited, or I try to be more careful with that one. And Rumble, I'm in Odyssey. Those are the uncensored. Rumble and Odyssey are the uncensored platforms. All the other ones you can be censored on. BitChute's okay, but you can't do anything live. So anyway, please feel free to go to that site or any of those platforms, and I'm sure you can find me, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And may the coming year be everything that we could ever want it to be.
Thank you. And Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year 2022. It's just has a magical sound to it for me, 2022.
222.
And I'm launching a new website next year, which is omniversity.us. So that's going to be that's being built right now. And all things good. And we're just on an upward trajectory. So lots of love to everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.